All right, the time is now 6 o'clock here. I'd like to open the Board of Selectmen meeting for the Town of Halifax for Tuesday, March 26, 2026. As I said, at 6 p.m., we are in the Selectmen meeting room on the second floor of Town Hall. A quick introduction for the folks at the table here. We have Bill Smith, Selectman, Thomas Pratt, Selectman, myself, Jonathan Seelig, Selectman, our Town Administrator, Stephen Solbo, and our Administrative Assistant, Pamela McSherry. Before we get going too much, I'd like to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, if you can, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, a brief announcement here. This meeting has been posted in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20B, and pursuant to Chapter 30A, Section 20F. Notice is being made that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on Area 58 Community Access Channel. The board chair, which is myself, reasonably anticipates that the following matters will be discussed and or voted on at this meeting, and agenda items may be taken out of order for time management considerations. Bill, I guess we can go right down to, we don't have too many of them, so we'll go right to the approval of the warrants and commitments.
I move to affirm approval of the following warrant commitments. Vendor warrant number 87 for $268,230.62. Ambulance commitments 3/2/26 to 3/8/26 for $49,099.70.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimous.
I move to approve the following warrants. Payroll warrant number 88 for $453,980.20. Vendor warrant number 89 for $55,762.32. Withholding warrant number 90 for $152,763.88.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. Okay, so A on your agenda, guys, we have a public hearing to hold tonight. So a little bit on public hearings. Some matters that are brought to the Board of Selectmen require an official public hearing for the community to give their opinions, their responses, just to give us information as a board before we continue with any sort of action. And this is one of those instances. So we have a beer and wine license, possible approval for, you're going to have to help me with this one, Vishwara?
Correct.
Vishwara Corporation, DBA, Halifax Beer, Wine, and Smoke. So when we start our public hearings, we have to open it officially here. So the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, which is this evening, March 24th, 2026, at 6 p.m. We are here in the Selectmen meeting room, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Massachusetts, for the purpose of hearing an application from Vishwara Corporation, DBA, Halifax Beer, Wine, and Smoke, and I'm going to get it, Ankita Kumar Patel, manager for an alcoholic beverage, wine, and malt retail package store license on the property located at 355 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Massachusetts. And I will entertain a motion to officially open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to do a roll call vote. Bill?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. The hearing is now open. I guess we can start with you folks here. You guys have the floor. Please explain what you guys are planning to do and what you want the board here to take care of.
Awesome. So I'm Sydney Krokos. I'm an attorney from Vieira and DJ Filippo in Easton, Mass.
Yep.
And I am here representing Vishwara Corp. It is a tongue twister. Currently doing business as Halifax Cigar and Smoke Shop at 355 Plymouth Street. Here with me tonight is Mr. Ankit Patel, who is the president of the company and the proposed liquor license manager, and Mr. Sanjay Patel, who is one of the shareholders of the company. We're here tonight requesting your approval for a beer and wine license at the premises. As background, good background here, Vishwara Corp. is comprised of guys who are seasoned industry veterans owning multiple stores throughout Massachusetts, so there's no shortage of experience. Ankit himself has been working at this store since 2022, so he's very, very familiar with the premises, the company operations. He's been selling age-restricted items since 2022 with no issues at the state or local level. He's alcohol tip certified and takes his responsibilities very seriously. Will be on site at least 40 hours a week, as is required by the ABCC. In addition to the group's experience and training, they're investing in a state-of-the-art ID scanner because they take underage sales so seriously. I regularly go before the ABCC and we talk about the importance of ID scanners, so I'm very happy to hear that they're doing that at this store. It's yet another safeguard to identify fake IDs and ensure smooth transactions.
Great.
I also want to highlight that the company is applying for a beer and wine license now because they got an opportunity through their landlord to expand their current premises. But they're adding beer and wine as an ancillary product. They're not going into liquor store territory, or else they'd be applying for an all alcohol license. Not the case here. It's really to make their convenience store more convenient for their customers. So that's an important caveat here, that we're not, changing. They're still planning to offer their existing products, and this would be an ancillary product offering. Also, they've received almost 200 signatures in support of this beer and wine license, which is more actually than I've seen for other stores. Like, this is a crazy show of community support, which I genuinely wasn't expecting. But these are definitely signatures with dates, town where they live, names and signatures. I'm happy to give this to the board if they're interested.
Take a quick look?
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And in short, because that was a lot here, the experienced applicant is looking to add beer and wine to help boost their business and become more of a one-stop shop for their customers. So with that, any questions?
Sure. Mr. Nero, Tom?
I have one. This is the first time that I've had a liquor license appear before us when I've been here. So it's beer and wine now. Once they have a beer and wine, if it was to be requested to be an all alcohol, is it a completely new application?
Completely new.
It's not an amendment to the existing license.
We would need to go before you and the ABCC again.
Okay.
Even changing any stockholders, any manager, if it's no longer on it, we have to go before you and request permission for that as well.
So it's not like not an endorsement to the existing license. It's a brand new application, start over process.
Correct.
I know only certain things within our purview here. I'm wondering, have you appeared before any other boards or departments in town, or are we your first stop?
In Halifax, first stop, but my understanding is this is the only stop.
Okay.
And then if you guys approve, then we go to the ABCC and they do their review.
So, I I have no issue with the application. I have some questions about the permutations of the approval of the application in regards to the location and so forth. So, the smoke shop is one entrance. Is there a separate entrance for the proposed liquor store, or the alcohol, beer and wine, or is it the same square footage there that would be occupied by both?
I have a floor plan.
But it's still just one shop, right? It's not.
It's a one shop, yes.
One shop.
It's one shop.
And so they're expanding, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but this walk-in cooler area is their current premises, and they'd be expanding kind of toward the center.
Right, but it's not a separate door with a separate entrance.
No.
It's
No.
one store.
Yes.
It's one store, expanding the scope of the store.
Yep, and we have to do, for application purposes and approval purposes, it needs to be one licensed premises. So this is one licensed premises.
I guess my last thing is not really so much a question. I mean, the application looks good to me. And I'm not sure this is within the board's purview. There seems to be an area of stagnancy during that stretch of 106 for years, and now within a quick stretch we have a lot of quick construction and no relief with parking and traffic. That's my only concern, not that it's your issue with this application. I just want to get that out there, that there seems to be a lot going on, nothing going on for a long time. And now we have 5, 6 different things with no traffic relief in sight. So I'm wondering if the Traffic Safety Committee, the Highway Department, Public Safety, anybody else would want to weigh in at some point down the line. But the application looks good to me.
And again, I guess just a quick question. Is there anybody that will be employed there that has had, I know you have store experience, but selling alcohol or, wine, is there anyone there that has experience with those goods
Yes.
as far as selling?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. And are you looking to expand the footprint? You're not looking to take over that, there's an empty spot between you folks and...
That is.
Yeah.
So that's where you guys will be expanding out to?
Yes.
And we'll be taking that extra property?
Yep, Dunkin'
So-
remains.
So you're not going to try to squish it all into that current
No,
spot there? Okay. So maybe to speak to Tom's point, if they're taking that spot, there won't be a future business going in there to create even, to create even more, of a bottleneck, Tom. But I agree that the traffic can be a challenge. But that said, all their ducks seem to be in a row for this application. So, Bill, anything?
Just had a couple of, what are your hours of operation?
The hours is 7 to 8.
7 to 8, so 8 to 4?
Just an hour. Good
Just
luck.
right now, 7 to 8. Yeah. Just an hour.
And you invested in that scanner, you said you were going to get it, or you have it?
Yes. Yeah.
Upon, we've identified one, but upon approval,
Yeah,
then it
it's the
gets
scan, slide,
implemented.
Yes, this ID goes in there and they just scan it by
Check or a red
approval.
check.
Yes, yeah.
Great.
It's very efficient. They
That's why if it's fake ID, still they recognize.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Takes out of state.
Yeah, if it's out of state, still they're showing if we can
Right.
acceptable, then yes. If not, then
They use it until that. It works very well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's-
I love it. Anything that
Great system.
keeps
Yeah.
underage folks from drinking, I'm all for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake ID going on.
Yeah, I know.
And they're getting so advanced,
Yes, they are.
so scary. So a scanner.
Even you cannot even feel like they are real or fake, but when you put in machine, yeah.
Yep.
So, one more question. Are you the only employee, or is there other employees that you're working there?
I'm the employee right there, yeah.
All right.
I'm happy, the application looks good.
Okay, so now where this is a public hearing, guys, we open this up to the public. So anyone here that has any thoughts on it, I just ask you, yeah, Tina, well, we won't make you stand up there. We'll flip this around. Tina, I just ask you to identify yourself first with your name and your address, and then whatever questions you might have.
I'm Tina Alger, 340 Plymouth. I'm directly across the street.
Yeah.
I would have no objections for the beer and wine. I've never had a problem with these people. The only problem I have is the traffic. Saturdays, Sundays, you can't get out of the driveway. We have backed up past the deli, and it's ridiculous. I know all of you people must have been stuck in it at one time, and it's really bad. In the summertime, it's all you hear is swearing. The horns are beeping, and I'm afraid somebody's going to get hurt because people are irate. They're trying to get by, they can't pass because there's cars coming on the other side, and they're trying to get into Dunkin' too. It's crazy. That's my only objection.
Sure. I agree. And I agree, Tina, and I do think that the traffic is an issue, especially, on those Saturday morning soccer days where it seems like every family in town is in that drive-through line. But to that point, I don't think the traffic at all is any result of this business here, right? Yeah, so I would feel awful punishing these folks for something that is, well beyond their control.
And that's kind of where I was going with my point. I just wanted to bring it up that I don't think it's within this board's purview to deny any application based on traffic. That should come from another board, another department, another committee. If the application, in this board's opinion, looks good, then they should be granted it. However, there are ongoing, continuing issues with the expansion of that small little area, which has had no activity for years and now has 6 buildings being occupied or constructed within a 12-month period. So I'm not sure if that's fire, police safety, or planning, or highway, or traffic, whoever it is, but there are legitimate concerns that I do share. But that's independent of this application, in my opinion. I just wanted that on my opinion on the record for that.
And maybe it's time too, Tom, to get a hold of OCPC and look at having them do, they can do it's called a road safety audit, where they can look at that area, look at that corridor, and try to help the town come up with ideas to remedy that problem, because I agree.
The Stop and Shop areas, the entrance is open and there's a cut through. So I mean, there's an opportunity.
There's a way to go around.
There's an opportunity to go around. I'm not sure that's allowed or safe.
But there are measures that we can do to try to look into it, and I agree. I do think it creates.
But the concerns are well founded. I agree with you.
Yep, so what do you got,
You
Bill?
got a question up there?
Oh, yeah, I know. Chris, come on, if you don't mind, just coming on down. It's a public hearing, we gotta make it real official.
Chris Winowitz, 129 Circuit Street. And
Yeah.
again, this has nothing to do with theirs. I think,
Yeah.
I've never seen any traffic theirs.
Nope.
It's more, so it's not towards their permit.
Yep.
But I've seen other towns in the past, with like the Dunkin' Donuts stuff. Can the town look into putting a sign like at the edge of the road that says no standing or stopping in traffic lane? I've never seen it done in this town, but I have seen it done.
So
Like again, it's more the property, nothing.
I've actually been approached by, was it you? Somebody approached me, a resident approached me about the very question, because there's a Dunkin' Donuts in Bridgewater, near the post office, if you guys know
Small-
that area,
real
near the
small.
railroad
Right.
tracks. They have a sign that says no standing, essentially, like it is illegal to stay on a,
You used to be able to go up and turn around in the
Right.
car wash and come back.
And come
At
back.
least you're sitting in the middle lane then.
Correct.
You're not blocking that lane for the travel.
but I actually went down, took pictures of that sign, and sent it over to our highway surveyor. And Steve's take, and I will defer to Steve, is that where it's a Massachusetts state numbered roadway, the state has to handle putting a sign up. So maybe we have to kick it up the chain to appeal to the state to get that sign put on.
Is that talking about having the highway department? Because then that would be like, under the state laws, but is there something like, mention it to the planning board, like have the property owner or?
Sure.
Like it's not Steve or the highway department making a sign to go on the state road.
Right.
It's more the property owner.
It wouldn't be legal then.
It wouldn't.
That's what Steve's take was, is that it's not legal to put
Just
it.
wanted it to be better than nothing. Just some people would see the sign and like,
Right.
okay, I got to travel and.
Right, yeah, but it's not legal. I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but
you could be right.
I believe the Board of Selectmen can vote on putting signs up, but then it has to be kicked up to the state to approve.
Okay.
That's, could be wrong though.
Why don't we look into that?
separate.
Yeah, let's look into that.
And like I said, it's nothing to affect their.
Yeah, no, I think they've been a great business in town.
I think the concerns up here are not,
Yeah.
so just,
So yeah, Stephen, why don't we maybe look into
Yep.
kicking that up?
To Mass DOT, I can certainly put
Yeah.
on that with
That'd be great.
figure it out.
Yeah, sure, come on down, sir, and again, just identify yourself if you could.
Yeah, Joe Murray. I'm representing Bike Realty, and we're the property owners.
Okay.
So first of all, thank you for considering this. I just want to speak for Andy and his team for a minute, that we've been involved with a little over almost 5 years now, and they've been great tenants. Anything we need to do, they help us do that. We were particularly interested in expanding their business with them because we've been trying to rent this middle space, as you've all noticed, for a while. I think it's over 11 years now. Wow. And we've turned down many people because it just wasn't a good fit. Traffic and other things like that. So one of the beauties of this that we felt is that the hours that people will come to see them will offset hours of the Dunkin', because Dunkin's in the morning primarily. Granted, it has other times too, but that was a very big thing for us. And it doesn't put any stress on the property for us, because, Dunkin' does have a lot of customers, but again, they have a lot of customers too. If you go in, you'll see a lot of people go in there. And, I just appeal to you as the property owner too, because it's been a long run of no rent for 11 years, and we just keep saying no because they're just not the right people. And then we do have things that we have to consider on the property, the infrastructure and so forth. This is a great fit because it doesn't tax the infrastructure at all on the property. So just here to speak in favor of Andy and his team, because we have such a great working relationship.
Yeah, their list of support is impressive.
Yeah,
A lot of
that's all on them.
Halifax fans,
They do a great job, and their customers are extremely loyal, and that's a great thing. And that's been, it's a tough road. We all know it's a tough road. I mean, if you sit the other side of the lights coming towards that property, in the afternoon, you can't get through the light. So it's a tough road. There's a lot of traffic, and everybody has discovered Route 106, it seems, at the same time, and there are some significant things happening on that road. But, this is what happens sometimes in the commercial situation, and everybody has to try to work together to keep it going. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
No, I appreciate your comments. Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because Dunkin' Donuts closes, I believe it's 8 o'clock. Might even be earlier, but most nights they're closed around 8, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Pretty much, and it drops off
Yeah.
in the afternoon. It really drops off.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, no,
It's the
that-
morning, and
it's
that's
that
why
crunch
this is so
morning
good,
time.
because the other businesses that approached us,
Yep,
their hours were pretty much the same, and
sure.
we just didn't want to work with that situation. And it's a very limited situation. As you're probably aware with septic systems, you can't do salons, you can't do nail salons, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And we really didn't want to add another food tenant.
Yeah.
Because it's taxing the infrastructure of the property too much. So this is a great fit. And we actually approached Andy and said, hey, would you take a look at it, because they've done so well as a tenant with us, and we just think it's a great fit.
Great. Yeah, beer and donuts, how can you go wrong?
It works pretty good.
Two American staples right there.
It's not an unusual concept.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So-
So thank you for listening.
Yeah, no worries. Wish you luck.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I also, just one last thing, I also think it's worthy to note that this is, should this application be granted, it's not a reward, but it's a continuation of an existing business in Halifax that has done well for a town that is looking for growth in commercial and industrial applications. So I think this is an example of, somebody who's been here, likes being here, wants to continue to be here, a landlord that supports them, performs well. So the traffic concerns that I have and others share should be mitigated by the opportunity for a business to continue to grow. So that's kind of where I am on that one.
I agree.
I'm good.
All right, anybody else before we close it? Going once, going twice. I see no other hands or comments. So with that, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I'll take a voice vote. Bill?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Thank you, guys. You can have a seat. You don't have to stand there.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and then I want to make sure I get the verbiage right to approve.
I don't have it. You can just, what you want to say is that, motion to accept the beer one application from.
Okay. Sure. Okay, if I can keep it if I can keep it like that, that's fine.
It's fine, that's.
Sure. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the presented beer and wine license to Viveshwara Corporation, got it, DBA Halifax Beer, Wine, and Smoke.
So moved.
Second.
All right, again, I'll just do a voice vote just to do it. Bill?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, passes 3-0. Good luck, guys. Yeah, wish you success.
Thanks to Pam,
Yep.
too. She's been a big
Yeah.
help.
She's all right. Don't give her a big head. She's already,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
she is the great,
Best cheer.
yeah, the Queen of Sheba over here. All right, is there anybody else here? Actually, I see a familiar face. So we're gonna jump down just to get people in and out of here. We'll go down to G on your bingo card here, and we're going to entertain the appointment of Matthew Campbell to the Agricultural Commission. Matt, you want to come on down here and sit on the hot seat?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right.
Sorry for the short notice.
No problem.
I'm like,
I'm just gonna see if I can pull it up here on my magic computer.
I don't have it in mind.
Can't believe I'm G. I thought it'd be much higher in the end.
No. We go by how much we like you, that's all down at the bottom. No, so anyway, Matt is applied to be a part of our Agricultural Commission. Do you guys see what number yours is on?
page number.
What page number?
It's on 126.
Well, that's a big one.
Well, it's a big packet.
Yes, it
Like,
is.
put this whole one on the right.
Sorry, 126 you said, Bill?
Yep, 126.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking here at the talent bank application of Matthew Campbell, lives down on Fuller Street, and he is interested in becoming part of the Agricultural Commission. Matt, a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in being part of the Agricultural Commission.
Sure, my name is Matthew Campbell, live at 112 Fuller Street. I'm born and raised in Halifax, spent 49 years here to date. My wife and I own and operate a Christmas tree farm in town, so I'm all about local agriculture and local agro-tourism. And I think as Halifax is a right to farm community, I think that we need to spotlight that more often and push to keep some of this land, farmlands, the way it is in Halifax.
Sure.
Not going to development and that type of stuff. So whatever I can do to encourage people in town to do that, I'm all in favor.
Great. Great. And I know right now we don't have, Pam, we don't have too many folks on the
No, there's only
commission.
3 people on there, and I'll try to get in touch with them after you get appointed. I can give you their names and numbers, and maybe you guys can start like forming a couple of meetings, you know, to post it and all that, and maybe get it going again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to your point, Matt, we are a farming community. You know, we are a town that started with farms.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of breathing life back into that commission and trying to get more agriculture awareness, more business, agriculture-related business. And I know it's a hot button topic, but I would love to see if we can breathe life into this. Part of that thing is doing things like farmers markets, doing things like that get more exposure to the farming industry. So if we can work on bringing, life into that commission, I think things like farmers markets and things like having events that have, animals or farmers there, I think is great for Halifax. So the challenge has been laid in front of you to give it CPR and let's bring it back. So terrific. Any questions, you guys, for Matt at all?
Nope.
I would just comment, it's a beautiful piece of property that you own. I know your family's well invested in the town, your wife and your son with the bagpipes. I appreciate the enthusiasm and the support for the town, as always.
All right. No other questions from the peanut gallery? Nothing? All right. So with that in mind, I will entertain a motion to appoint Matthew Campbell to the Agricultural Commission for a term ending June 30th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Matt, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Change my email address to Kimberly M. Campbell.
Nice try.
Thanks.
All right, so that was G. Stephen, do we want to do the draft, the town meeting warrant now, or do we want to save it till later? What do you want to do?
We can do it now.
Jump right in?
We can
Is
run-
anybody here for anything special that we really want to hear?
Just you.
Oh, God, love it. You are a sad human being if that's the case. All right, so we'll go down to B, which is the review of the draft of the town meeting warrant. So as you all know, our town meeting is the second Monday in May every year. This is Stephen's first warrant, and I will say he has done a fabulous job. It's not done yet, but if this is his first one, I'm very encouraged. He's way ahead of schedule. Normally, we're looking at April to try to get where he's already at. So Stephen has done a tremendous job so far. We are looking at a warrant that hasn't fully been finalized yet. It still has to kind of get the blessing of our town council. So it is still a draft, and I want folks to understand that, what we're going over tonight isn't the final product. But we're looking at a warrant of, what did you say, about 25?
25 articles.
25 articles. Shouldn't be a big, long, 4-day event like sometimes we have here in Halifax. Should be a concise, hopefully well-run town meeting. And with that, Stephen, do you want me to hand it over to you and you can kind of step through the different articles for folks?
Yeah, so what I envisioned on doing was just running down the articles. You guys have them on your tablets.
Yep.
We can talk about, we don't have to read out the articles word
Sure.
for word because they're still undergoing review by town council. But just if you guys had any questions as you look down through them with me, that I can bring up to town council in the event you want to ask that question or clarifying question.
Okay.
Because by April 6th, 7th, or 8th, we have to schedule another meeting in order to finalize the warrant to go off to print.
Sure. And that's always the challenge, is you want to have the most updated warrant you can have, but we got to make sure we have time to send it off to our printers to get it to folks in their mailboxes in time, because we want people to be able to, we don't want to get it to them late and have them scrambling and not having time to look over their warrants. So that's always the catch-22, is to be as squishing in as much up-to-date information as we can, but giving folks that extra time to go over the things before our meeting starts.
And I will say the article number probably won't switch dramatically at all from
Okay.
these 25. And again, these are all out of order because, as we all know, the first 3 articles at town meeting are always predetermined, and then everything goes to lottery. So anything after 3 will be potentially completely
That's the
out of
most
order.
fun part of the night. You never know what articles.
But as we
coming
get
up
started here, we have the general boilerplate. I do have to work with Jim and the Finance Committee on finalizing their report of the Finance Committee, and I'll give them the data they need to complete that report. So that's going to be coming probably in the next week or so, as I'm meeting with them Monday with final budget numbers from my perspective. On page 1 here, we get into Article 1, which is the typical year-to-year COLA adjustment for wage and personnel employees. As you can see, we have that listed as just 0 for now. I know that I approached Lindsay and had her prepare tables for 1% and 2%. Jim had requested that be ready for town hall floor, or town meeting floor, excuse me. And Lindsay actually completed that today. So we have numbers that will show the difference in what a 1% COLA increase would be for those wage and personnel staff, and then what a 2% would be. So if the town meeting floor wants to, weigh that, they can. Article 2 is for the elected positions, same deal. Then we move on to Article 3A, which is
And just, I don't know if I should bring this up, but just Article 2, I do want to mention that we as selectmen often take barbs.
Okay, yeah.
That we're getting paid all this money, that we're taking all this money, that we're obviously making out like bandits. And I know recently folks have been taking barbs. But for the record, this year we knew that we were in a tough financial strait, and we as selectmen voted to forego a salary this year. So just want to put that out there for folks, because again, there's an undercurrent of people that say that I had folks approach me that wanted to do this for a living and thought I made 6 figures, and thought this was a job. And I said, no, this is essentially volunteer. So again, wanted not to get a pat on our back at all, but just if you hear folks saying that, we're living high off the hog here, off the town's money, we are working for free next year. So
and that cost annually before next year would be $4,500 for all 3 members, so $1,500 each, which is delivered in a paycheck that amounts to about $50 every 2 weeks.
Oh, my wife reminds me. Don't worry. Yeah.
So again, it's very much a volunteer type job.
Sorry about that employment.
So then we move on to Article 3A, which outlines the proposed budget with cuts to offer level services for this year, with the funding, the amount of revenue going down, obviously. Article 3B, which you guys will find is a separate sheet of paper.
Yep.
Article 3B is the override article, and the only difference I have to figure out for that is putting together the table of where money will be reinserted back into the budget with a approval of the override. So that what that article says is this is the amount of money, that the $1.5 million, and then below that I will have a table that will line by line show you where those dollar amounts will be either restored back up to what they were asked for, or restored to a level which we've decided upon in work with the FinCom and other suggestions in internal review. So that will be ultimately what folks are looking at when they're deciding between those 2 things. Sure.
So, Article 3B, the sum is 1.5 million, and you have things that would be cut. So by printing this article, does that say that we're doing one override for 1.5 million? Because it wasn't there previous discussions about possibly separating those out with future discussions available?
You can still do that, because we can add you can add Article C, which would be, do you decide to fund this level of funding and assign that box to what that would fund? And then option 3D, ultimately what the folks will vote on that Saturday that follows town meeting will be the 1.5 overall, one way or the other. So if the town only decides to fund and appropriate 1.3 million of that 1.5, if the vote still passes that Saturday in the ballot box, the town will be able to take that 1.5 million. Now, they'll only be able to appropriate 1.3 of the 1.5 million, but then that 200 will carry over towards the levy limit the next year. And then we'll be able to just be immediately captured along with the 2.5%.
I've been on this hill for a while. I don't want to die on it.
Sure.
Is there a benefit at all to separating the override out in print prior? In other words, we have one override for 800,000. They will fund A, B, and C up to this amount. Override B is 700,000, and it funds this, which I thought was what we were discussing before. So to me, this just reads that, I'll just say it out loud. Town government, public safety, and schools are lumped in at 1.5.
Yep, and then there'll be a table inserted below that will show what level of money is being restored of the 1.5 million to each line that was previously cut in the 3A.
But at the ballot box, it'll be 1.5.
1.5 all day.
Correct.
The
So
question
so
they're asking-
we're all in at 1.5. There's
1.5.
there's no backup plan or plan B for two separate overrides like we previously discussed. I would still like to explore that, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but that could be made on the town meeting floor.
Yep, could be made on the town meeting floor.
If that's an
Sure
option
can.
that folks
What if
want to
the-
do.
But if the ballot's already been printed, how's it gonna change?
The ballot votes for the amount of money.
It'll still be the 1.5, but it'll just be what you want to use
But
that
not-
1.5 for.
I don't
But
think
not if you have two overrides.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying one passes, maybe one passes, one doesn't.
Correct.
That's what he's saying.
So in that instance, and I'd have to check with town council, but my understanding of that is if one passed, right, during town meeting, it would still go to the question and say we did split the 800 versus 700. One of the questions does pass town meeting, that goes to the ballot box. If the ballot box passes it, that money is appropriated, the other money is not.
Stays. The other money stays for next year.
Because that didn't get through town meeting.
Yep.
So then you'd have the 1.5 still all day.
It just stays.
But, and the levy would still be, the tax rate would still go up the full 1.5 million of that, so that equates to about 7%. So at this point, you're still in a spot where you can do that. I just think my suggestion is to list all the items out and make the decision based on all of the lines together. That's my suggestion, but again, it's up to you guys. And I'm meeting with the FinCom on Monday, and they may have other thoughts and
other ideas.
machinations.
Well, I think we've kind of already had this discussion.
Yeah.
On last Monday. 2
And
months.
we also still have to schedule a joint meeting between the FinCom and Select Board to finalize everything before going.
So I just want to make sure I understand this right.
Sure.
1.5 goes on there, we break it out, it's A, B, and there's a whole bunch of buckets below it, what funds what, where it falls short. Any money that's not voted for and approved at the ballot box goes into it's held, then goes into the levy amount next year.
Yeah, the levy would be extended, and then we would
Correct.
raise the taxes accordingly next year.
And just so you know, Tom, too, this is a tough year. I mean, you guys read the news, almost every single town is up against it this year, and there's a very, very solid chance that we're going to be up against it next year.
Of course.
So the idea of having that money for next year isn't, in my opinion, a really bad thing.
But okay, so just educate me.
Yeah.
Let's just split it up, 750 and 750. So 750 is held to the levy amount for next year, carries over.
Correct.
How is that divided? Where does that go, the general fund?
General fund.
Yeah.
Right, so, but it doesn't fund the amount that fell short on the ballot. So if school is funded and town government is funded, but public safety is voted against, the 700 that we're withholding, 750 that we're withholding from them that goes to the levy doesn't go back to their budget next year. It gets dispersed.
Gets dispersed by the FinCom.
And wouldn't that be a better argument as to why to separate them out?
Someone's still got to wait a year, though, if it doesn't go through. And then it depends on how much you lose in that year.
Sure.
If things can even return at that point.
We can keep going.
That's my only concern with that,
Yep.
with that model. Yeah, so we can certainly still talk about that and hash that out. We do have time, and that's an item that can, as we've seen through the meeting notes and minutes from previous years, the last warrant is signed off at the end of April.
Yeah.
So
We got another month.
there is some flexibility here. So Article 4, this is a new revolving account, and this will handle all monies coming in for the EV chargers. So right now, the monies are coming in, and they're just sitting, and they're not able to be sort of dispersed into an account that will allow them to be spent. These monies typically would be earmarked for maintenance and software upgrades and anything that is specifically related to the chargers themselves and other potential EV infrastructure. Article 5, this is a typical annual article that, takes $100,000, puts it into the reserve fund, and then also takes another $50,000 and puts it into the water department reserve. This has been done annually for, seems like a long time here in Halifax. Article 6 is one of the first government study committee articles. So this is the one that talks to the board of, this is the town clerk, the office of town clerk, so from elected to an appointed position. Article 7 is the same type of article, but related to the Treasurer Collector's Office and the Treasurer Collector's position, switching from elected to appointed. Article 8 is referencing the highway surveyor, or called in Halifax as the Highway Department Superintendent, from an elected office to an appointed office. Article 9 changes the name of the Chief Executive Board from Board of Selectmen to Select Board. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to request its representatives to general court. This is for water commissioners becoming appointed versus elected. And then Article 11, so we've moved out of the government study committee questions and articles into Article 11, which is known as the HERO Act. So this would be basically another veterans exemption, not another veterans exception, tax exemption, but what it does is it increases the amount of abatement that the town is actually responsible for. So I know in the assessor's office they have done the math in order to see what the financial impact will be at the various levels of.
That'd be great if we have those numbers.
We do have those numbers already, so I will have all that ready even for the FinCom to discuss as well, because it's a financial question that the residents will definitely want to debate.
Do you know, Stephen, if Steve Littlefield will be speaking to it?
I imagine
It'd be
he-
good to have Steve to speak to it.
I imagine he will
Veterans
be, yeah.
Service Agent.
Yeah, and so if you see the sponsor of this, it's proposed by the Board of Selectmen on behalf of the Veterans Officer.
Okay.
So definitely Steve Littlefield will certainly be talking on this and in support of it. It does come out of his department, so.
Okay.
Article 12 is the soliciting or canvassing bylaw, which was
Hold up on that one. I got a lot of questions on this one.
on soliciting and canvassing?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the bylaw that was submitted and worked on by the police department, and Chief Chavs and DC Benner, I believe. And
I agree with the bylaw, but I think the bylaw should just say eliminate canvassing. Why allow it? It's a nuisance to people. There shouldn't be, and most towns do that. They just say, no, we're not giving permits out, we're not doing anything. They're gonna be chasing these guys all around town. It's a total nuisance.
To see if, to
See if
your
they
point,
get a
to see
permit.
if they get their permits, to
Because
see
none
if
of them are
they're.
gonna show up to get a permit.
Wasn't there something discussed previously that it was allowed by state law? Protected by state law?
I don't know.
see, this is where I now that you mentioned that, Tom, when I was speaking with town council, he did bring up freedom of speech as part of the argument here, as far as.
Because I agree with you, but I'm pretty sure it's protected.
I think it might be
I think the
protected.
first time this was broached, it was talked about eliminating, and there was talk about how we couldn't do that.
Oh, I can certainly double check.
I
Yeah,
know this town that I worked in,
really.
no
Wasn't
permits,
allowed.
no nothing.
Really. Let's
You
see.
just go up there, grab them, get out of town.
It's worth, it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, it's a total
Yeah.
nuisance.
Yeah.
I feel like there was something there.
Keep those Girl Scouts off my doorstep.
I don't think it's.
Just mail me my cookie.
Just leave them out there and I'll pick them up when you leave. Thank
It's
you.
not for the Girl Scouts. It's you.
I know, I'm messing with you.
So that was Article.
That was 12.
And why did I jump to 16?
You're an overachiever.
Yeah, it was, oh yeah, we did.
No,
I jumped to 16. So maybe I misnumbered it. It was only 22.
Even better.
So I jumped to Article 16 mistakenly here.
Oh,
So we have 3 ghost articles.
so this is going to be Article 16, it's going to be 15.
This is going to be 13.
Right.
So this is the revolving accounts that are currently in existence here. I know one that we spoke about last night. I changed that to 2027, or I think you might have already done that. Me and Jonathan were at the school committee meeting, and they were talking on the topics of HES busing and HES full-day kindergarten, and upping those amounts because they're thinking about potentially at least looking into the scenarios that would create the need for those revolving accounts to have higher dollar amounts. I've tentatively put them in as 100,000, but I think the numbers we heard last night, they might even have to go up
I
higher.
think they gotta go up more.
But can I ask a question?
Sure.
I wasn't there last night. We're setting these aside, 100,000 each, right? But they're talking about maybe presenting these. Are we talking about increasing those from 100,000 for a maybe?
So these are just revolving accounts. There's no money associated with
Right.
it.
So it's a cap.
A cap.
A cap on, yeah.
Why do we need a cap larger than 100 if there's not even?
Because we're talking, it's more than 100.
They're considering it, and, let's, round numbers, they do $4,000 a kid, and these are just out of the sky. And they have 60 kids, that's $240, right?
Yeah.
So, you'd need to,
We'd have to have the upper limit
you have to
set
have the
that high.
ceiling that they're allowed to put that much money in those accounts.
So I think it might be a beneficial thing because it means they might be able to generate more revenue or
Sure.
recurring revenue. But
So,
again,
they could-
they're investigating what
So devil's advocate, why don't we just, why is there a cap?
by state law.
So why don't we just all make them 200,000?
Well, I don't think we want CPR classes to be able to have $200,000 worth.
Do we want Halifax busing, which is a maybe, to maybe a zero to do anything?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they're asking for a budget and exceeded.
Well, they're
budget.
just asking for the account.
I
Asking for
understand.
the-
I understand.
for the ability.
With an amount to exceed the amount we suggested when they haven't even established.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I suggested 100 because it was 50 when I first encountered the draft, so.
Sure.
And then I was actually surprised to hear the numbers I heard last night. I didn't expect them to be that high.
Sure.
So that's why these are my numbers, 100,000. This is my estimation of where they probably would have been thinking about in those programs. I didn't realize the scope of what they could charge for these services, so that was on me.
I'm not sure it's on you.
So, as far as why the 100,000 there, that's a number that I just put in there as a sort of placeholder. Moving on to Article 17. So this is capital plan. I did have another question about this today from the chair of the Finance Committee. I think it's something we certainly need to discuss. There's some items here that obviously need to be done right now. And I think with the status of where we stand with the schools, a special town meeting might be the best course of action in order to address the rest of capital beyond these items, being the road stabilization and the recertification for the assessing department. So that would be $319,000 for right now in the capital plan for those two departments, and then obviously the water department filter replacement through water retained earnings. For now, and then with the intention of doing a full capital planning committee once we know exactly what we can put into the capital plan so we can prioritize the projects, and then also know what certain departments are going to be able to actually handle. Because if we're going to give them equipment or one-time purchases, if they don't have the staff anymore for that equipment, then it certainly changes the discussion. So with that being said, I think it's probably best to do the extra work of a special town meeting. And then, I mean, I've worked in a lot of towns where fall town meeting is specifically for capital. That's what you center your fall town meeting around, is capital planning. So that way you separate out the two pieces and you do them just offset. So it gives you plenty of time to figure out where you stand annually with the budget and operating, and then you're able to figure out capital-wise what everybody really needs after the first few months kind of
After
go
the
by.
dust settles.
Yeah. And this year that might be advantageous because of where we're going to be financially and waiting on certain net school spending numbers, and if depending on how much free cash may need to, go one way or the other, these are questions that we're going to need to answer. So it might be the best bet to wait and then do capital and really focus on it and develop the priorities for the town. I mean, that's going to be my suggestion, but these are the items that need to be done up front. I did add, at some point, I think town meeting here in Halifax could probably afford to get modernized with some automated voting.
The clickers.
The clickers, yeah.
Oh, you don't like the red card and the green card?
No, but the reason I like the click is because
It's anonymous.
I've spoken to a lot of people, the council on aging, and a lot of them are afraid to vote,
Sure.
afraid to put that card up. This is
Sure.
the best way to do it, so no one knows what.
So I'm actively getting quotes. I mean, the quote I did, I had Sue pull was a little bit higher than a previous one I'd seen from Caesar when he'd reached out to a different company, so I'm going to try to get another one. They seem to be anywhere between 25 and 18,000. That seems to be what the range. But I just think from a voting perspective, every town I've been a part of, they do it automated because it just makes the
So much
results,
easier.
it makes
Yep.
the results crystal clear.
Yeah, you can't tell how many times we get, oh, I need to do a voice
Exactly.
count, and then we do a visual count, and then we...
These are important
So,
votes.
Yeah.
So I'm
You want people to be able to feel like they can vote freely.
comfortable.
So,
with that.
yeah, absolutely.
So moving on to what's listed as Article 18 here, as long as we didn't have any other questions on the capital plan for the time being. To see if the town will raise and appropriate, so this is for the typical annual South Coastal Communities Legal Services, which is for low-income families and civil matters for elders, something that Halifax does annually each year in their town meeting.
And I know, Pam, we try to get numbers usually from these guys,
Yeah, I can try to.
if you can,
Yeah.
just to see how many Halifax. I love the idea of...
I just got one now.
Yeah. I always love the idea of doing these. We do them every year. You know, it's they're ones that I think Troy Garin started 1 million years ago, and I don't like pulling the funding from this program, but I just want to make sure that our Halifax residents are using it, because we're going to need every nickel.
I'll get them for you.
So yeah, if we can get that one, and then I know we have the domestic violence one.
This is the same one, yep.
Yeah.
So then Article, I think we're on 16, 19, but to see if the town will raise and appropriate a sum of money for so this is unpaid bills and anything that may overrun the year. I'm thinking this year that might be snow and ice. That might be also something that we can address at a special town meeting, depending on how big that deficit is. We know it's in the range of about 160 grand right now, so that's going to be a bill that we're going to be looking around in the budget for some extra pennies to rub together.
And we don't do those at the special beforehand? No? For unpaid bills? Unpaid bills for prior years?
For prior years, but will we
Yeah.
have that bill though for snow and ice for this year?
I
I
mean, it's already deficited that account, so
Okay.
Yeah.
we're going to have to find the money.
Usually it's from the previous year, like a bill that didn't,
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I can ask Attorney Durensis.
Yeah, ask, because I think in years past, we usually do unpaid bills of current year. It's usually handled, I thought maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought it was in the special.
Prior year would be we used to do it in the special.
Yeah,
But this one, if you're saying snow and ice is this year,
yeah.
then would that be?
Yeah, worth checking.
Yeah.
Worth checking.
That word. All right.
The next one is the same, very similar to the domestic or the low-income families. This is the domestic violence and advocacy group, $3,500, Article 20, something annually that Halifax does. Then we move on to see if town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds the sum of $150 for the 4-H Community Extension Service. Moving on, the next one is for stabilization fund to be called the PFAS Settlement Stabilization Fund for Multi-District Litigation. So this is essentially similar to the opioid fund, where you have to create a place for those monies to land in order for them to be able to be used. And then in the next article, we take the monies that have been appropriated and raised in this year to this point, and we've put them over into that account so they can actually be used.
Out of the general fund into the actual.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
So then Article 24, as listed here, is to see if the town will vote to accept 138, Section 12D, which would allow, and this refers back to where the liquor license folks go. So, which if accepted, this is something that's going around town governments. KP Law had put out a memo on this, which if accepted would allow the Board of Selectmen as the local licensing authority of the town to approve a request from a licensee to convert an existing license to sell wine and beer or malt beverages only for on-premises consumption to a license to sell all alcoholic beverages for on-site consumption, subject to all and other provisions of GL Chapter 138, including notice publication, certified mailing, and a public hearing on such conversion, or take any action relative thereto. So essentially, that question you were asking about going to full alcohol can now be handled at the local level with the passage of this.
For on-site consumption.
Yeah, that's for,
This is like breweries.
first is for, correct. This is for restaurant brewery type, because it's on premises consumption.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Yep. So I don't think we have.
Do you have any?
I don't think we have any in town, guys. Help me out. Oh, you go. No, but that would be a special. Yeah. But we don't have any just straight up breweries in town.
You're right,
So,
though, yeah, okay.
Yep.
But does that mean we could apply for that?
That's an interesting question, because does this affect our one-day liquor licenses? I think that's something we should get to the bottom of, absolutely, to see if you're allowed to.
Well, this is just separating what is a beer and they're calling it a wine and malt beverage license to all alcohol.
Right.
So
But I'm
this
saying,
is
like-
beer and wine to everything.
Yeah, so when, let's say their farm.
But that's a special liquor. That's a special permit.
Right. I'm wondering if the same holds true for a special.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, just check it.
Ask it for.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
We'll find out. And then next, we have a citizen's petition, which is soils contaminated and reclamation. So this applies to soil reclamation and soil use and businesses in town. So it's a citizen's petition, so it will go on the warrant as presented to the town. And then lastly, we have just the voting, which is up to date. Sue gave me the updated language, so that is officially who is running for everything. So if anyone would like to know, is to see if the town will vote to elect one Board of Assessors member for a term of 3 years, one Board of Health member for a term of 3 years, one Halifax Housing Authority member for a term of 3 years, one Halifax Housing Authority member to fill an unexpired term of 2 years, one Highway Surveyor for a term of 3 years, 2 Board of Library Trustees members for terms of 3 years, 1 Park Commissioner for a term of 3 years, 1 Planning member for a term of 5 years, 2 HES School Committee members for a term of 3 years, 1 Silver Lake Regional School Committee member for a term of 3 years, 1 Board of Selectmen member for a term of 3 years, and 1 Board of Water Commissioner member for a term of 3 years, and additionally, certain ballot questions provided to the town clerk that were provided in a separate election warrant.
And I do know of all those listed, Stephen, we're still looking for someone for our Halifax Elementary School Committee. So there's 2 positions open. One of the incumbent candidates has decided not to run again. And then Jody, the one that we put in last year, is running for her seat again. So if anybody out there is watching, knows somebody that would be interested in running for school committee for Halifax Elementary, you have 3 days to get your pages signed. So, I hope we can get, the goal is to have candidates in all our positions. So that's what we're hoping to do. All right. Well, excellent, Stephen. I appreciate the time. Any questions, guys, for Stephen? Or again, I feel like we're in really good shape we're not even the end of March. So nice job. Again, I know it's your first warrant, but from everything I can see, looks like we're sitting pretty. So nicely done.
At least there we are.
Yeah, nicely done.
More work to be done.
Yep. Okay, so that's B, guys. We're going to go over to C, which is discussion of the joint meeting with FinCom for March 31st, 2026. We are going to go over budget stuff for that one and try and nail down, Stephen, I know you're meeting with Jim to try to work on a budget proposal for the 1.5 million. So are you looking for us to set, any sort of parameters on that meeting, or what are our thoughts?
I'll let you guys talk about it. Obviously, for that meeting, I will have my final proposed cuts for the budget if the override doesn't pass. Prepared for that by Monday when I meet with the FinCom, so that's the 30th?
That's correct.
Yeah.
The day before. You're going to be 30th is going to be busy for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and the idea being there is you will make that presentation, you'll work with FinCom, get those proposed items, and then we will sit down with FinCom on the 31st
And go through
those line by line.
Yep. And discuss them and
Sound good to you guys to discuss? All right.
What time you guys, just so I know when to post?
6 o'clock work okay?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock work, guys?
A week from tonight.
Yep. Yep. So we'll shoot for 6 p.m. All right. Moving down to D, field the flags request on the town green. One of my favorite things we do here in Halifax. Annually, we do a field of flags where volunteers come in and they assemble. Let me see if I can find my information here on it.
123.
123? 123 flags.
Oh, no. Page 123.
I was going to say, it felt like more than 123. Strike that from the record. Here we go. All right, I'll read this through, just because they took the time to write it. We'll read it. This is from Steve Littlefield, who is our Veterans Service Director. It says, "Dear members of the board, I respectfully write to request authorization for the VFW Post 6258 in accordance with the Town of Halifax Veteran Services Department to once again place the town's annual Field of Flags display on the front lawn of Halifax Town Hall in observance of Memorial Day. The Field of Flags has become a meaningful tradition within our community, serving as a powerful visual reminder of the cost of freedom and the importance of honoring those who gave their lives in defense of our country. This display provides residents and visitors with an opportunity for reflection, remembrance as we approach Memorial Day. We are requesting permission to install the Field of Flags beginning the week prior to Memorial Day weekend, with the display remaining in place through the weekend following Memorial Day, and volunteers from the VFW Post 6258 and the Halifax Veteran Services Department will handle the installation, maintenance, and removal of the display. We greatly appreciate the board's continued support of this tribute to our fallen service members and the opportunity to present this display in such a prominent and respectful location in the center of our town. Please let me know if you require any additional information." That is Stephen Littlefield. So again, I love it. It's a striking reminder, as Stephen says. It's one of the things I love about this town is that we do take our patriotism pretty seriously, and we do reflect on the sacrifices that folks make. So if any board member has any questions, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Field of Flags on Town Green for this coming Memorial Day.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. All right, down to E, ambulance abatements. I will entertain a motion to approve the ambulance abatement for February 2026 of $124,031.77.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. F, we're looking at the appointment of David Fryer as a ZBA member.
Okay, I didn't have him come in because remember you guys just interviewed him not too long ago?
Yep.
About a little over
Sure.
a year ago for the associate member.
He's been an associate member for a while now.
Yes,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but if you guys want him to come in, we can, do that. But the ZBA did give their blessing that they would like him to come on.
No,
From the associate to a member.
I think that's the great part of having associate members, is you can have folks that sit in on the meetings, get their feet under them, understand what's expected of them, and then when an opportunity arises, they can slide in.
Right.
I don't think we need to have Dave come in. I know his commitment has been there. He's been to almost every meeting, so I think I'd be fine with that. What are your thoughts, guys?
I agree.
Just catch me up. ZBA has 5 members and two associate members.
Correct.
Yes.
Is this the ZBA the one that submitted a resignation some time ago?
Pete
Yes,
Parsons.
he did,
Yeah.
And did we ask and solicit for talent bank forms?
We did not. Only because, so in past practice, it has been that if you have if you have associate member, the goal is to kind of give them the opportunity if they want to move up. But if you want, why would we have an associate member if they can't move up? Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
No, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just asking if we open it up to the
No, I
floor.
didn't.
No, we didn't,
No,
but
they've been asking me and say, we have an opening and we have 2 associates. I said, well, this is what you can do. You can ask the associates if they'd like to move up to be a member. And that's what they did, and that's what they agreed on.
And did the other member have any interest, the other
She
associate?
didn't say. I don't know if she's been there. I don't know who attends.
all right. Yeah, maybe the board would be okay with having Mr. Fryer take that spot and then soliciting more talent bank forms for another alternate to try to fill that out. I know it's hard when the boards and committees aren't at full capacity. It's hard to be overly effective because you got a person that misses or can't make it. Quorum can sometimes be a struggle. So, I'd be okay with this. Any other comments or anything from the board?
I'm okay with it.
You okay? All right. All right. Well, that said, I'll entertain a motion to appoint David Fryer to the ZBA. Do we have a term on him, Pam, at all?
Oh, right here.
Yeah. For a term that expires on June 30th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. Okay. We've already done G. H, we have a road opening, guys, to discuss here.
Yeah, that we don't, so as I looked into it a little bit more, it was gonna be on Lyden Lane, and then it was a privately owned road. Remember you had said that? And you
That's where I used to live.
Yeah, and so I looked at it, and so I said, let me just double check on this, and sure enough, I went down to the road listings, and it is.
So that's a private
so-
roadway.
So I just, sent, basically, the gas company saying that, they didn't need our approval because it's a
Okay.
private road. So-
All right, private road, so doesn't come before us. All right, we're down to I, board looking to authorize a search for health agent. Steven, you want to speak to this at all?
Yeah, so as we all know, we're sort of in a hiring freeze. We're only really going out for essential employees right now. Bob Bucher, who is the current health agent and serving in the role after Bob Valerie passed late last year, and then the unique situation with his seat as the shared service coordinator for the whole region. So the reason why this position, in order to authorize this search, is to get the ball in motion for his eventual replacement down the road and succession planning to start. So the way the department operates now, Bob operates on a modified schedule, and he's sitting currently as the shared service coordinator. So he will actively apply for the Halifax health agent position and continue that modified presence in that role. And then he's going to go out and hire for his shared services coordinator position at the regional level. And he's identified a group of individuals for that he likes a particular couple of applicants that have come forth for it. One is currently working here on an intern basis and with the shared coordinator position role and the grant funding that goes along with that. So he's sort of learning the ropes here in Halifax. You see him from time to time down in the Board of Health office. And he's working with Peggy and the staff down there. So the eventual plan is to hopefully so that Bob can actually train Jaden, the young man that is going to be hopefully be the shared service coordinator if he is able to beat the other applicants for that role, to eventually become a great candidate for the Halifax health agent role when Bob decides to eventually move on beyond his position here and sets up the next person. So this would go out. This would also have us bring in other applications. So if we get our socks blown off by another health agent that applies for the same position, then we'll bring it in front of the select board for you guys to do the interviews and then have you guys decide. But with that, we also know that Bob brings with him a little bit more flexibility from the grant perspective that Halifax is involved in at the regional level. And if we were to lose Bob, we would lose some of that funding and flexibility and probably a little bit of coverage from the health department's perspective with that. So there is, ultimately, when we look at Bob as far as being a candidate for the health agent position, one of the greatest things that we can all talk about is fit. We know that he fits here because he's been here for a while. But again, we'll put it out. Bob wants the process to be fully transparent to make sure that, it's done the right way and that the right candidate is selected. So.
And that, brush me up on this because I don't think I've been here when we've had a new full-time health agent. We handle those screenings and those interviews, or is that, do you remember, Pam, is that a town administrator? I don't have to put you on the spot, but you're the grand poobah at the table.
We had Kathy Ryan, and then we had Bob Valerie.
Right.
And
Did you interview either of them?
It was before our,
I want to say that it was the
Bob
Board
Valerie
of
was here
Health
when I got here.
themselves
Board of Health
interviewed.
themselves.
that's what I'm wondering.
Yes, and
And did they present them to us? Yeah. So yeah, just to double check on that.
The process.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure out the
Yeah,
process.
double check that process to make sure that we're doing, what we've been doing here, so. But yeah, obviously we need a health agent. I know we're in a hiring freeze, but a town can't function without a health agent. So to me, it's a no-brainer. We have to advertise for our health agent to be a full-time, to be a position that we need, so. Do we need a full vote on this, Stephen?
Yeah, just I would say
Okay.
just to authorize us beginning the search and getting it going.
Any questions for Stephen, guys, at all? No? All right, that said, then I'll entertain a motion for the Board of Selectmen to authorize a search for a health agent for the town of Halifax.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. Okay, J, discussion of public employee for uncompensated position, Michael Brogan. You want to again take the lead on this one, Steven?
Yeah, so you guys may or may not be familiar with this. So anytime a municipal employee, you can't have two compensated positions at the same time as a municipal employee. So if you decide to take on any two roles, you also create a potential conflict of interest, and you have to disclose that with the state. So Mike Brogan, the building commissioner, has been working closely with both ZBAs, as we know, because he is the zoning enforcement officer here, but he's also, throughout his career, worked closely with planning boards because there's a natural symbiotic relationship between them in every community. So what Mike has offered is his ability to serve in an uncompensated acting planner manner, which means it's not going to be a full-time, long-term thing, but in the event the town wants to go over a planner, it's in an acting role for now. And the main reason this is being done is to make sure that he has a very good understanding of the guardrails that go with zoning and planning and building. And they all sort of fit together. So being able to provide another level of suggestions and opinions to the planning board from a litigation perspective and a legal standpoint, I think is a huge positive. Not to say anything against the people on the planning board or the folks that serve in their capacity. It's just always good to have an extra set of eyes looking at it, especially when they have experience in communities that have dealt with complex planning matters and how to navigate those avenues when we're talking about enforcement and site plan review and bringing folks back for site plan review. Mike has a lot of experience doing those things. So the one thing that would be required of this role in Mike serving it, and he's very aware of this, is it's sort of like he's wearing two caps. He can't serve as the building commissioner and town planner at the same time. So this will be a very defined role, typically geared towards their meetings and any other types of appointments he may have to set during the day to say, I'm going to do something planning related for this hour, and then come back on the clock as the building commissioner. So it's just to make sure that the town's covered from a litigation perspective too, that we're disclosing to the state that our building commissioner does serve in an acting capacity as a planning official for the town as well.
Is there any concern, Stephen, that he will have enough time to do his building commissioner duties and still be able to do his planning duties?
I don't think so, because from what I see, the main addition to the time will be his presence at the planning board meetings themselves, and then helping out from time to time during the day if it's setting an appointment with the department, with the planning board chair to discuss a case for 30 minutes or something like that during the daily course of day-to-day business. But just being mindful of the fact that he's got to be aware that he's got to fulfill the building commissioner role, and then obviously not be overstepping his bounds and then stepping into a planning role during the day. So it's just really about being careful there. But mainly, I think from what we've talked about personally between the two of us is his presence at meetings, just to make sure that both the planning board are protected and the applicants are protected, because essentially he's just a referee. We all are referees, essentially. We're just calling the game and making sure that the guardrails are on. So I think he'll provide a level of support to the planning board that will just offer them opinions and suggestions that will make them think of maybe a different thing or perspective, and make them maybe question something a little bit differently. I have no concerns about him fulfilling both roles, to be honest. He fulfills the role of building commissioner aptly, very well. He does, like, even today, he's by appointment only right now, with his inspections, and he's here. So I don't have a question with him as far as covering that time.
So I hear nothing but good things. Mike was hired in the fall or the winter, late 2025. I think he just started in January. Has the town ever had a building commissioner double in this capacity before?
I don't think so. No.
If not, why not? And I have no concerns about his day-to-day, and I don't have any issues with Mike. But might somebody who's paid for one job, who's doing multiple jobs, on a next contract negotiation say, hey, not for nothing, but I'm doing this thing too, which is extra?
Yeah, but that's why he's signing this. 'Cause
But
he's
the
agreeing to-
planner is uncompensated,
Yeah.
but as a building commissioner, he can say, hey, I'm doing that, but outside my building commissioner hours, I am attending planning board, so I'm not the planner in official capacity because I'm not paid. I'm just concerned that it opens up a little bit of a box. We've never had it before.
Yeah.
If we don't need it, why are we doing it?
Well, I think
I
that's...
think there is a need.
That's exactly it. I think in talking with Mike when he got here, he noticed there was a very bad need for some planning.
But we also asked him at the interview if attending regular planning board meetings would be part of his regular routine,
Sure.
which he said yes, and he's been doing. So
I don't think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, I don't think this planning thing is just to attend planning board meetings. I think there will be some active
during the day, sure.
planning during the day that is outside commissioner work. So Mike wants to cover himself because it's technically, the stuff he'd be doing would technically not be part of his building commissioner job. So to cover him, to cover us as a town, when he is, I don't want to say going above and beyond, but doing kind of planner duties, he wants to make sure that we're not stepping into it legally because he's going above and beyond what the normal building commissioner would be doing.
I understand
Yeah.
I understand the capacity of the roles. I'm just wondering to what end.
I think he thinks me, and again, I wish he was here because I hate saying I think he thinks because, you know, I'm speaking for him, but I think it will make his job as building commissioner easier if there was some more planning duties being done during the day. And that's just, again.
And I think the other thing it adds is we've had some issues specifically with the planning board in terms of getting folks back to the table. And that's what having a person during the day that can put that hat on will assist us with, is getting the applicants to comply, because we don't really have an enforcement person in the planning perspective right now.
We don't, but we have an administrative assistant who can make.
No, they can't do enforcement.
They can make phone calls. Get it back to the
That's
table.
not, but this is completely different. Just having my experience as a staff member of a permit issuing authority, there's a complete difference between an admin going out and doing that enforcement and getting the developer back to the table versus the staff member demanding they come back and speak to the board. An admin's not going to be able to get that done.
And I just want to make it clear, I like Mike. I heard nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
heard nothing
I
but
do
good
too.
things.
He's been
Heard
great.
nothing but good things.
He's been great.
I'm just concerned that this is the first time we've ever needed this and talked about this, and I just don't want to be looking for another building commissioner who's looking for more in 24 months.
Well, go ahead. You have
I just have a question. Jim Walters, Orchard Circle, Halifax. Taking the person out of the position and just looking at the roles, is a planner's work ever reviewed by a building commissioner? So then you're going to have somebody do planning and then reviewing his own work? I think that's where a conflict could occur.
No, they don't review.
That's not in Massachusetts, they don't.
Mike, as a building commissioner, his capacity is to review engineered plans and structures.
That come through the planning committee that he's going to be the planner for.
Yeah, that's all internal structures and those things. He's not, when he needs advice on parking and lots and everything like that, he's going strictly by code, and then he's deferring to highway, he's deferring to Chief Witham for fire, as far as means of egress around the parking. So internally in the building, he's making sure the building's safe. It's fired, the fire sprinkler systems are appropriate. So internally as a building commissioner, yes, but the planner typically doesn't say anything about the inside of the building. They're talking about the box you're placing on the site.
But it's not impossible for that situation to arise.
I don't think the building, in my capacity in working with planning departments and working in planning departments, I've never had the building commissioner overrule the town planner.
Understood. But it's still possible for a planner's work to be reviewed by a building commissioner.
I can't say reviewed, no, I can't agree with that.
Okay. I just think that's a dangerous precedent when you
I think more from a zoning perspective.
same line of work.
I think it's more from a zoning perspective where you have to worry, which in most towns you often see building commissioner as the zoning enforcement officer as well. So that's where I would actually wonder where the conflict might be. Because a planning person and a building commissioner, when I was in Bridgewater, for instance, The planner, the zoning enforcement, the building commissioner also acted as the zoning enforcement officer.
Which is what we're here.
Which is what we are here. He would comment on planning items, but from the zoning enforcement perspective, not from the building commissioner perspective. Because the building commissioner perspective is the structure and the safety of the building and what's being put on the site. The planner is talking about the resource and everything else. The building commissioner doesn't really have purview over that. But I have seen them, as a zoning enforcement officer, have concerns about what the planner's doing. But that's a different role, in my opinion.
So what are you looking for us, Stephen? Do we need to make any sort of vote on this? Or?
So on this is officially needs to be signed off by the select board as the authority.
That we are aware.
That you are aware, yeah. That this is going in and that he's just disclosing that he may be doing planning-related duties as his compensated role as a building commissioner here in town. I just urge it also from a capacity standpoint because there are legal issues that have come up even in my brief review of things that have happened with the planning board, and they need to be brought to the attention of either town council or legal counsel. So, I mean, there's certain matters that need to be looked at, and having that extra layer of eyes from me is important as well.
Good. Any questions, guys?
So, yeah, just one more.
Yeah.
So, this is a disclosure of a non-compensated position, but it's actually also a creation of the position as well. Right. And this is the first time we've talked about that.
Yeah, and that's why, Mike, in the disclosure itself, it's mentioned that it's not a position in the town. Planner, not a funded position.
But do we have this position? Do we have this position on our books? Like, is this?
No.
Is this?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Not on our books, but do we have this? Do we have this position created somewhere in our books to have? Because we can't fill a position, I don't think, without that position, to Tom's point, actually being created.
So just like, what happens if, like, so let's, and again, this is not about Michael.
Yeah.
This gets approved tonight. 9 months from now, he hits the lottery and he's gone. So now, do we need both a building commissioner, a zoning enforcement officer, and a planner?
Nope. We need a building commissioner and zoning officer.
Right.
But for the last 9 months, we've been operating as if though it was a necessity.
It's a one-off contract.
Yeah, it's just for this.
I can appreciate the pros of it.
Yeah. He's not here tonight. No. Again, I can't say it enough. Mike's done a bang-up job. We've had a lot of businesses or a lot of construction here in Halifax lately, and I feel like I am resting a lot easier with Mike's eyes on them. Mm-hmm. It's not to speak any ill of our interims. They build us out for a while, but it's nice to have Mike plugged into what's going on. He's already, making his opinions known on projects. He's trying to clean up projects. He's trying to do what's best for the town. So again, to the point of, I feel like he's trying to help. I do feel like there's a sense that Mike looked at our situation in town and said, there needs to be more steering of the ship a little bit.
He was right.
Yeah, and I think that's when he got here. That was his take. Was there's really no one helping direct anything. It's very reactive.
What was his background? What was his background in where he came from? Was it Attleboro or North Attleboro?
Was it Norwood?
He's done a lot of projects in Norwood.
Yeah, well, he had an affiliation with either the ZBA or the planning board.
He sits on
something. He sits
on a ZBA
in his town.
Yeah. So he's familiar with that stuff. So again, I think this came out of Mike noticing that the town has a bit of a hole, and he is trying to help with that, to help us out.
Because some of the litigated matters end up in his zoning court anyways. So, but they approach from almost the planning angle. So I think that's where he's really saying that in any capacity to serve as a de facto planner, he'd potentially be able to cut them off at the pass. And there's more of an ability to do enforcement with some sort of planner role. Because, again, it's one thing to have a staff member that you can count on in town hall to say, oh, this person's the planner, they know what they're talking about, versus going there and speaking to a generalist.
So let me ask you, is there any sort of time sensitivity on this?
No, I mean, we can certainly wait.
Yeah. Could we, because again, I hate being the guy, well, I think Mike means this. Like, I don't want to get.
Yeah, if you guys want to go down and talk to him.
Yeah, I think, or could we have him come in, you know, at our next meeting?
Sure.
Again, I think on paper, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But just to hear from Mike
Yeah.
And to iron out, you know, Tom brings up some pretty valid points. Iron those out and kind of go give it a full roundabout.
Sure.
So before we do, but again,
No problem.
on paper, I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's just make sure we get all the details we need before we go forward. Is that okay with you guys?
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, and again, this is a lot of Stephen Sobel tonight. We're going down to K. Discussion on waivers for volunteers volunteering for town-sponsored events. Oh, that's Pam.
I was like, that's me.
That's Pam. Sorry, Pam. No, go ahead. Wait, make sure we get you there. Come on.
Come into the camera view.
Exactly.
So we
Your
met
close-up.
for how we had the holidays in Halifax, and we had a lot of the volunteers sign waivers because it had to do with our insurance. Yes, that was, so, you know, our insurance agent had said, you know, if you have people volunteering at an event that you guys are sponsoring, you don't want to be liable in case if they were to fall or anything. So we had them sign waivers. So we do have a couple of town events. You know, we'll have holidays in Halifax and lights, you know, that goes through or whatever. And so do we want these volunteers to continue signing waivers? Now, Tom, do you want to put your insurance hat on? No, just, these are just, because we did it for one event. Should we have them do it for
all
events moving forward? Like,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other events, Pam, are we
Well,
thinking? I mean, I know we
I don't know.
open up town hall for holidays in Halifax.
4th of July.
4th of July.
but so
Do we get the?
remember I had you have some of your, do we, for,
We had all of our student volunteers sign them and any adults sign
yeah,
them.
and they came in electronically, which
It
is
was
nice.
electronically.
So they did it, and then what we did is I put it in a folder, you know, on my computer. So we had them in there. Caesar set it up on the computer, and then it would just drop right into
Okay.
an email. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Does anybody know an insurance guy?
Here's the problem.
I think we have one in town, don't we?
Here's the problem. And again, like a waiver, having a signature is better than nothing, but here's what happens.
Okay.
Your son signs the waiver, he brings two friends. Hey, listen, Johnny was over last second, he's just gonna help me out. Johnny didn't sign. Oh, Johnny's helping Henry. Henry signed. Well, what happened to the kid? Kid's left behind. You have one person sign, everyone has to sign.
Right, and I'm not going to be the go-to person that I'm going to.
So in theory, a signature is good, but you have no way of controlling who's helping.
Well, the thing was with that, we had to have, you're obviously under 18, the parent had to sign it for them.
Right, but again, same principle applies. What happens if your son or daughter brings their friend?
We'd have to have
his
them
parent
on.
didn't sign. What are we supposed to do? The kid's gonna help. Oh, he's fine.
They'd have to sign.
He's just passing out lollipops.
Now, what about the ice skating rink, right? What did you guys do on that one?
That was a waiver from the actual company.
That's what I was just saying.
And then we had it on a tablet where they could sign it right there on the tablet before they got onto.
And we ran a tight ship.
Yeah,
It was a tight
I don't know.
ship.
This guy was in charge. I don't know.
Pam, you just have to ask the insurance carrier, is there like a blanket additional insurance that the town can get for anybody who's offering to help?
That'd be the best way to go.
Blanket. It's a blanket additional insurance for any volunteer.
Because how does this affect, like, if you have like a town cleanup day?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
The next
it.
morning, you don't need
How does
I
you
know. That's what I mean.
blanket additional. Blanket additional insured for any volunteers.
Blanket additional insured. And just so that all the AI bots that are listening, that was Kimberly Campbell, who's chair of the Holidays in Halifax.
Because in theory, the waiver's a good idea, but there's no way you're going to be 100% or be able to know you're 100% until it's a problem.
Well, you did
Would that cover any people that were vendors as well?
Not typical. Well, on a town event, on a town-sponsored event, we don't require insurance.
Added to it.
If it's for one of our boards or committees, again,
Right.
that's what we felt.
If it's a board or committee, it's covered under our insurance.
That's why we had the problem with the farmer's market.
The farmer's market, they're individual vendors, and that's a separate from the town committee, which
Get
is
the
separate.
agricultural commission up there.
Right. So any vendor and their volunteers or work, well, they're not their workers, because that would be covered under their workers' comp.
Right, exactly.
But the liability would extend to the event,
Right.
which would be us.
Yes.
Blanket additional, is what you want to ask.
Okay, blanket. Okay.
Sounds good. Awesome, Pam. Look at you bringing up good points. I love that. Nicely done. Okay, we're down to L, everybody's favorite part. Ladies and gentlemen, our town administrator, Stephen Sobol, with his update. Stephen, you have the floor.
Yeah, a few more items than last time. It was a little bit of a slow week. I was able to focus on this a little bit more this week. First thing I wanted to do was thank Representative Kathleen Lenatra's office for a $50,000 earmark for the town of Halifax, specifically geared towards special education costs. Right now, the bill's moving to the Senate. It should be followed by the conference committee, which is coming up very soon. And then it should end up on the governor's desk. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated as that funding gets closer. It's 50 grand, 50 grand's 50 grand. Moving on to storm response. Yes, we're still dealing with storm response stuff. It is March. It's about a month beyond the storm, but Chief Witham has been huge on this effort. He's documented all the damage assessments that needed to be done in the town, whether it's collecting all the information from highway, getting the snow and ice deficit together, also getting the rooftop invoices together, making sure he was aligned appropriately with MEMA to make sure that everything got in on time, working with Christopher Jean through Kathleen Lenatra's office. Again, this doesn't guarantee any funding, but we asked for the full 160 grand that was the deficit amount and the shoveling off of the rooftop. And this money does take a while to come in. So it might not be a year or 14, 16 months.
About 2 years.
But maybe we'll see at some point, So we wanted to try to at least take advantage of it. It was a state of emergency, so hopefully we'll get something back. And not the $500 like Chief said last time they got for a major snowstorm. So moving on to the free cash certification, this date keeps extending on us. It's now extended to March 31st for free cash certification, along with end-of-year reporting. This will give us a clearer picture of available funds and basically our flexibility as we move towards town meeting and through the budget process. Last week, I took I took the opportunity to go out and visit Maryland's Landing, just to get a better understanding of the current operations and site conditions. I have some familiarity with the site from afar from my time in Bridgewater, but the site really wasn't actually active when I was in Bridgewater from what I find out in the timeline based on it. So it was good to learn about the operation, what goes on down there, and then, this is part of the due diligence, making sure the town remains informed and proactive regarding the environmental and operational considerations that are ongoing down there. So just keeping tabs on the water testing results and the other environmental related results that are coming from the site.
Do you want to take questions on your report, or would you rather get through your report? You have questions?
I'd rather get through and then we can take questions at the end. Just like to get through them.
Sure.
Tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with Sue Johnston to finalize. I drafted an RFP for trash pickup services. It went out 3 years ago in April, so I've targeted April again for it to go out this year for re-upping. So we're going to sit and go through the RFP from 3 years ago, edit it up to today's standards, make sure that Sue gets, I know she had some changes in there that she wanted addressed from last time as far as the scope went.
Good.
So we're going to work through those and then get that up and posted so we can get some bids coming in. I'm kind of scared of what those bids might be. I have it budgeted at $421,000.
Don't tell them.
No, I know, but just so people are aware that the last year's budget item number for that was about 383, so that's about a 6% increase. I built in a 6% increase. Again, that might not be the number, and
Sure.
It might come in lower. We don't know. I doubt it.
I was here 3 years ago. We had multiple bids, which was great.
Yeah.
And the one we went with, Allstate, was considerably lower than the other bidders. So hopefully we get lucky this time around and we have somebody that'll come in that's qualified to do it for a good price.
And I know one of the changes Sue had mentioned is that because the town, I believe, owns all the buckets now,
Yeah.
it makes it a little bit cheaper. So
correct.
maybe that will eat up some of that 6% increase that I thought that I was building in for inflation. So basically, I've created a new financial review team that will help me with budget oversight as the year goes on, so we can really just keep a very close eye on it. This team will include representatives from accounting, treasury, and collecting, which will probably be a couple folks from down there, and also the assessing department, because those are the departments that basically drive the revenue in this town, because they're all tied to property growth. The objective here is to strengthen the internal financial coordination. Nothing to say against the previous TA. He seemed to take a lot of the financial matters and do them by himself. And where our strengths are a little bit they differ a little bit on financial strength. I'm taking advantage of the folks in the house that are much more equipped to handle like general accounting. I mean, I see it from the 5,000 foot level and I understand it, but getting them out of their silos, all coming together, collaborating, making sure we have multiple eyes on the budget so that we have the best perspectives available. And hopefully, ultimately, I do want to develop a quarterly financial report that is going to be more of a benchmarking document as the year goes on.
Great.
And then ongoing fiscal strategy. I mean, I've spoken to Jim a little bit about it. I mentioned earlier with the capital plan during the warrant articles. That was something I wanted to talk about as far as, potentially staging a special town meeting to deal with capital. It's something to think about both on the FinCom and the select board side. Doing the necessary, like the assessing right now, and then the road stabilization right now, and then postponing till special town meetings come up with a capital plan is something I want sort of both boards to think about, the board and the committee, as we move forward, if that's a viable idea. Otherwise, we're going to be rushing through capital planning, and we don't ultimately know what the flexibility is going to be for at least another week.
Sure.
So it's shortening the window.
And to your point, given the budget, if there do need to be cuts made, capital items may hinge on whether or not we have employees to run said items. So I do think we need a clearer picture before we jump into some capital items. Does make sense.
So before we're, dressing the staff out with equipment, we need to know what staff's left.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Sure.
And for tonight, that's all I've got. So if we did, I'll answer that question now or address that question.
Chris Winowitz, 129 Circuit Street. It was just a quick question. I missed the part. What day did you say you remember Wednesday?
What day was that? That was Wednesday. Was it Wednesday?
Wednesday of last week?
Was it Wednesday of last week?
I believe it was Wednesday of last week.
Okay, I was just curious what day. It wasn't on Friday. Okay.
No, it wasn't Friday. It was middle of the week last week.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday. Okay.
Yep.
And I think it was like late afternoon. It was like 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock
Something like
Wednesday,
that.
I think you're right. Yep.
Yep.
Good. Okay. That brings us down to adjournment. Guys, anything else to bring up before we call it a night? No? All right. Well, thank you guys for being here, but if there is no other business to attend to, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimous. Meeting is adjourned at 7:37 p.m. Thank you guys for coming.